Skynet?
I don't know.
Does Charlie know?
Always 9 p.m. Saturday on 146.88. Duh.
I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is KF5PDS. My name is Billy, and I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign, break, and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.880 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list. And remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, what can you see in the sky tonight, which now will be called What's Up, a featured constellation or object or topic, recent astronomical discoveries, space exploration and space history, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, astronomical Q&A, and our 73 round. All amateur operators are licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. So at this time, I'll turn the net over to my alternate net control, Tom, KE5ICX, if you will do the check-in honors, please.
This is KE5ICX. I'm alternate net control. My name's Tom. Always has been, always will be. I'll take low power short time check-ins if you'd like to join us this evening, but you cannot stay, or your battery is low, which could be both. Please come now with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from. I will add you to the list. Please come now. Low power short time.
Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, Mesquite.
All right, I've got one low power and or short time. He better not be short time. He has a feature tonight. KF5JHA, Chaz, and Mesquite. Any additional low power short time, please come now. Okay, we will move on to general check-ins. Please come now with your call sign, name, and where you're transmitting from. General check-ins over there.
Then 5BB, November 5, Bravo, Bravo, Bill in Irving.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas.
Kilo Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn in Louisville.
Is November 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William and Allen.
This is Kilo Gal 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James and Carrollton.
To get these check-ins, I know it's Winterfield Day and everybody's in different places, so that's okay. Let me get these few check-ins. I've got N5BB, Mr. Bill in Irving, good to see you today. NT5PM, Tony in Dallas, good to see you. KC5OZT, Miss Carolyn in Louisville, my neighbor. N5WOI, William Allen. And KG5 Whiskey Victor Lima, James over in Carrollton. Additional check-ins, please come now.
This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda in DeSoto.
Is Bravo, number 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India, WB4, MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power, long time.
T5, Echo Bravo, Bravo, David in Dallas.
My power supply is getting very weak.
Okay, let me get this three. I got WB5OZL, Miss Brenda in DeSoto. I've got Ted, WB4MFI over in Dallas, low power, long time. I got W5EBV, David in Dallas, and a robot from Austin Space. B4, also low power. Additional check-ins before I move to Echolink. Over there, please come now.
K5 MST.
One more station. I think I got you. I didn't get phonetics, so I'm going to say Kilo 5 Mike Sierra Papa. Is that correct? Could I get your name? And if I didn't get that right, let me know.
Kilo 5 Mike, Foxtrot Papa. Michael?
I got you that time. Kilo 5 Mike Foxtrot Papa. Michael, welcome aboard. Okay, I'm going to go over to Echolink. I'll give you extra time. Folks on Echolink, you're up. Please come with your call sign, name, and where you're transmitting from. Echolink only.
Kilo Golf 5 Papa Mike in Gulf Shores, Alabama.
This is November 5, Yankee Echo Oscar, N5YEO, Stephen in San Antonio.
Okie dokie, let me get those two. I've got KG5P Mike in Gulf Shores, Alabama. He's normally here in Dallas somewhere, but he's off on some vacation jet junket somewhere. I got N5YEO Stephen, one of our stalwart regulars in San Antonio. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Anybody who would like to check in has not done so already, please come with your call sign name, where you're transmitting from. I'll put you on the list. We'll have additional opportunities. I know there's a huge distraction called Winter Field Day, so we're not going to get the major check-ins like we do. They may sprinkle in later on. So I'm going to send this back to KF5PDS from KE5ICX. The net is yours.
Great. Thank you, Tom, and thank you to all who have checked in. Welcome to Skynet. And as Tom said, we will have other opportunities for check-in as we go through the program, and hope everyone's enjoying Winter Field Day. Big shout-out to those folks. Okay, tonight let's go ahead and get started with our program. So first up is general announcements. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. If so, please come now with your call sign.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Yeah, 5, AHA.
Okay, we'll start with NT5TM. Tony, good evening. What announcements do you have for us this evening?
Billy, I'll be very brief because most of this was covered during Technet, but I would like to remind everyone that the Technet announcements are available at w5fc.org. Do pay your dues if you're a Dallas Radio Club member, and you haven't yet. They were due on January 1st for most of our members, although not all. Also, we do have a link to the new flyer that's up for the Irving Ham Fest coming up on March 2nd. We just want to mention that it is time to think about volunteering for Setup and Takedown. That is a fundraising opportunity for the Dallas Amateur Radio Club. We support that event to help make it a success for the Dallas and Irving clubs. Of course, this is not our last net of the evening. We do have the Afterglow movie with Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. And I hope that you're all on the air and making lots of contacts for Winter Field Day. Remember, you can participate from home. That just makes you a home station. You can always see winterfieldday.com for more information if you don't know what this thing is we're all talking about. This is NT5TM. Thank you for listening.
Great, thank you, Tony. All right, next up is KF5JHA. Chaz, what announcements do you have for us? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone on the net. Just wanted to let you know about some things for the Texas Astronomical Society. The Texas Astronomical Society actually meets on the 4th Friday at UT Dallas in the Student Learning Center in the ground floor lecture room, and that would be at 7:30 on the 4th Friday. Exceptions are on November, that would be the Friday before Thanksgiving, and December there's usually a holiday party or something else, and there's no meeting on that day. Also, the Texas Astronomical Society holds 4 different monthly star parties that are located throughout the Metroplex. The one on the first Saturday of the month is held in Garland at Spring Park. The second one is held on the second Saturday of the month in Frisco. The third Saturday is at Cedar Hill and Williams Park. And tonight's was held, the fourth Saturday, is held Stars on the Rock. It was supposed to be a go, but the clouds moved in shortly after sunset, so I don't think anybody got to see much there. So, just want to let you know about the Texas Astronomical Society. There is not a scheduled speaker right now for the February meeting, so hopefully that'll come up and we'll see that online. KF5, JHA, back to net control.
Great, thank you very much, Chaz. All right, so does anyone else have any other announcements? If so, please come now with your call sign. Okay, not hearing any, so I'll go ahead with a few announcements of my own. The AMSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Group has 2 nets available to Dallas residents on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time. You'll need to have Echolink installed and you registered. You can find the net under Groups and AMSAT. Also, a live audio link is available on their website at www.amsatnet.com, and this net originates in Houston, Texas. The Dallas AMSAT net, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater, which is 147.140 megahertz, with a PL tone of 110.9 and a positive offset. The DARC has several nets on Monday nights. The first Monday of the month is Ham Fixin's net, and this is a net where we share recipes, food anecdotes. If you have a question about food or a recipe that you want to share, or a question about food, all things food and recipes we talk about on this net. It's really good, and we share some really great recipes, so you tune in for that. On the second Monday of the month is MCOM 101, Emergency Communications. Third Monday is a second helping of Ham Fixin's net. And fourth Monday is GeekNet. We share all things geeky, news of the weird, anything geeky, books, movies, research, brain teasers, you name it. If it's geeky, it usually gets shared. And if there's a fifth Monday, which occasionally we do have a fifth Monday net, we have a surprise net. We've played many rounds of Jeopardy. We've done Christmas Thunderdome, talking about best and worst Christmas presents of the year. Truth or Lies, April Fools, and I think they even had a build-your-own short story where they built a short story just by taking turns with everybody that was participating, so that was a lot of fun. So tune in for that 5th Monday surprise net. On Wednesdays, there is a Veterans Net on 1st and 3rd week, 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, and Saturdays is the Night of Nets with Technet from 7 to 8 p.m., which Tony mentioned earlier, and of course at 9 p.m. on Saturdays, Skynet. Also, don't forget that 10:30 after Skynet, we have the Afterglow Movie Net, which we'll talk about in a moment. The ARRL Net also has National Traffic System Training Net every night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and all are welcome to check in on any or all of these nets. And don't forget, there's the Afterglow Movie Net after Skynet at 10:30. So Tom, KE5ICX, I'll let you read tonight's Afterglow info.
Hey, thank you, Miss Billy. Listen carefully. Bad horse, bad horse. Bad horse, bad horse. He rides across the nation, the thoroughbred of sin. He got the application that you just sent in. It needs evaluation. So let the games begin. A heinous crime, a show of force, a murder would be nice, of course. Horse, bad horse, bad horse. He's bad. The evil league of evil is watching, so beware. The grade that you receive will be your last, we swear. So make the bad horse gleeful, or he'll make you his mare. You're saddled up, there's no recourse. It's high silver, signed, Bad Horse. If you think that's bizarre, you've got to watch Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog from 2008. It's, I think, 40-something minutes long. You'll love it. So you can even watch it while you're doing this net. But don't tell me that you did that, or net control. But that's what we'll be discussing tonight on the Afterglow Movie at 10:30 p.m. Everyone's welcome, even if you didn't see it. In which case, you'd be a bad horse. Okay, that's it for me, KE5ICX.
Great, thank you, Tom. And as Tom mentioned, it is exactly 42 minutes long. I watched it today. I had seen it back when it first came out. You don't want to miss that. So if you can, it's on Vimeo. If anybody has Roku or streaming device, Vimeo is free. You can pop over to Vimeo and watch it. As Tom said, you can watch it during this net, but you got to listen to it. You can't watch it with the sound off. So you're missing 99% of it if you watch it on mute. So you definitely want to watch and listen. So as Tom said, that net will be at 10:30 p.m. tonight at Following Skynet. And as always, you can keep up with all DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, w5fc.org. All right, so at this time, we normally do Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope. Chaz, KF5JHA, gave us all that wonderful information a moment ago. So sorry to hear that Stars on the Rock got clouded out. I know it was a go earlier, but as Chaz mentioned, we have 4 star parties. Garland is in Spring Park on the first Saturday. Second is Frisco Commons Park in Frisco. Third Saturday is J.W. Williams Park in Cedar Hill. And Stars on the Rock is the fourth Saturday at Shores Park in Rockwall. So just to kind of repeat some of that earlier information. If anybody has any questions about the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, or you have some information from TASS to report that wasn't already reported earlier, let folks come now with their call sign. So if you have something to bring for Texas Astronomical Society, please come now with your call sign. Not hearing anyone, so if you're interested, You can always find out more about the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas by visiting their website at www.texasastro.org. From there, you can see information about current speaker. As Chaz said, they don't currently have one, but you'll find that information on the home page once they do have that information to report. There's also a link to the calendar so that you can check out the upcoming events, and you can click on each event to get details for any event that you wish to attend. So definitely check out the website. All right, so I don't think there's anything to report on National Space Society tonight, so we'll go ahead and get to discussion topic of the evening. So my NCS topic tonight, I've been doing an ongoing report on NASA analog missions. So tonight I'm going to pick up with the next mission on the list, which is Parabolic Flight. So just for starters, what are analog missions? Analog missions are just a way to have a situation on Earth that produces effects on the body similar to those experienced in space, both physical and mental, emotional, and these studies help prepare us for long-duration missions. And NASA is associated with at least 15 analog missions throughout the world. So I am going to talk tonight about the analog mission Parabolic Flight. So the Parabolic Flight analog mission, Parabolic flights are a gateway to weightlessness. They are dedicated to scientific experiments and to space equipment technological testing. So the information that I have to bring tonight comes from the NASA.gov website and also from the Wikipedia website about reduced gravity aircraft. Several people have different reduced gravity aircraft. So let's just start with that general knowledge of what is a reduced gravity aircraft, and then we'll go from there. So a reduced gravity aircraft is a type of fixed-wing aircraft that provides brief near-weightlessness environments for training astronauts, conducting research, and making gravity-free movie shots. Versions of such airplanes were operated by the NASA Reduced Gravity Research Program. They gained the unofficial nickname Vomit Comet, became popular among those who experienced their operation. So just a little bit of history, parabolic flight as a way of simulating weightlessness was first proposed by the German aerospace engineer Fritz Haber and the German physicist Heinz Haber in 1950, and both had been brought to the U.S. after World War II as part of Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip was a secret program of the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agencies carried out largely by special agents of Army CIC, in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, technicians, such as Werner von Braun and his V-2 rocket team were recruited at the end of World War II in Germany and taken to U.S. for government employment primarily between 1945 and 1959. So primarily the purpose of Operation Paperclip was U.S. military advantage in the Soviet-American Cold War and the space race. So those scientists had been brought to the U.S. for that operation. Parabolic flights are also used to examine the effects of weightlessness on a living organism. So while humans are by far the most common passengers, there have been non-human animals that have occasionally been involved in experiments. There was a notable experiment on how weightlessness affected a domestic cat's righting reflex, how they right themselves, and a pigeon's attempt to navigate in a weightless state. So the aircraft gives its occupants the sensation of weightlessness by following a parabolic flight path relative to the center of the Earth. So while following this path, the aircraft and its payload are in free fall at certain points in the flight path. And the aircraft is used in this way to demonstrate to astronauts what it's like to orbit the Earth. And during this time, the aircraft does not exert any ground reaction force on its contents, and that causes a sensation of weightlessness. So it's a little bit of information about that. So from a stabilized level flight attitude at 20,000 feet, the aircraft increases attitude. During this phase, the weight is 1.8 times greater than normal weight for 24 seconds. The crew then performs a maneuver called injection. The aircraft trajectory is piloted to follow a kind of parabola, and the power thrust is reduced. The vertical load factor goes from 1.8 Gs to zero gravity for about 22 seconds. The first pilot adjusts the control stick tilt to maintain the vertical load factor at zero, while the second pilot maintains the roll angle at zero, and the mechanic adjusts the thrusts of the engines to cancel the longitudinal load factor. An exit phase at 1.8 G, symmetrical with the entry phase, is then performed on the descending part of the parabola to return the aircraft to a stabilized altitude level within about 20 seconds. So these parabolic arcs are done pretty quickly, and so the aircraft is used to train astronauts in zero-G maneuvers and gives them about 25 seconds of weightlessness out of about 65 seconds of flight in each parabola. And during such training, the plane typically flies about 40 to 60 of these parabolic maneuvers. In about two-thirds of the passengers, these flights can produce nausea due to air sickness, and that's why it has the nickname of the vomit comet. And they say that the air sickness is mainly caused by anxiety. According to former reduced gravity research program director John Yannick, anxiety contributes to most passengers' air sickness because the stress on their bodies creates a sense of panic and therefore causes the passenger to vomit. So I think it's just the anxiety caused by all these quick parabolic arcs, not necessarily the zero-G, I guess. So some ways that these have been used in different countries, the Canadian Space Agency and the National Research Council have a Falcon 20 used for microgravity research. And the small plane is normally not used for people to float freely and experience weightlessness. However, comedian Rick Mercer did so for a segment on his show. In Ecuador, the first zero-G plane to enter service in Latin America is a T-39 Saberliner nicknamed Condor, operated for the Ecuadorian Civilian Space Agency and the Ecuadorian Air Force since May 2008. And on June 19, 2008, this plane carried a 7-year-old boy, setting the Guinness World Record for the youngest person to fly in microgravity. Since 1984, the European Space Agency has flown reduced gravity missions in a variety of aircraft, as well as the National Center for Space Studies, which has included NASA's KC-135, a Caravel, and the Ilyushin IL-76MDK, and an Airbus A300, which is known as the Zero-G. In 2014, the A300 was phased out in favor of a more modern Airbus A310, also named Zero-G. The A310 Zero-G aircraft is used to realize commercial flights for public passengers in partnership between operator Novaspace and the Avico company under the Air Zero-G brand. The aircraft has also been used for cinema purposes, with Tom Cruise and Annabelle Wallis filming for The Mummy in 2017. In Russia, commercial flights are offered on the Ilyushin IL-76 jet. Several U.S. companies book flights on these jets. OK Go, an American alternative rock band, made a music video for their song Upside Down and Inside Out while moving about in microgravity. The music video was shot on an IL-76 MDK jet as part of an advertising campaign for Russian S-7 Airlines. And you can find that video on YouTube. They have a lot of fun videos. Just as an aside, if you've never seen an OK Go video, you need to go check those out. They also have a great one with a Rube Goldberg. The whole thing is a Rube Goldberg machine. So they've got some really brilliant videos, but their one done on the microgravity was really something to watch. NASA has flown zero-gravity flights on various aircraft for many years. In 1959, Project Mercury astronauts trained in a C-131 Samaritan aircraft. Twin KC-135 Stratotankers were used until December 2004, but later retired. One, a KC-135A, flew more than 58,000 parabolas after NASA acquired it in 1973, before being retired in 1995. The other was also used by Universal Pictures and Imagine Entertainment for filming scenes involving weightlessness in the movie Apollo 13. It made its final flight on October 29, 2004, and is permanently stored in the Pima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona. So there's some information about the zero gravity program and NASA analog mission for Parabolic Flight. So let me see, if you have any questions, please come now. All right, thanks so much. Tom, KE5ICX, if you will see if we have any additional check-ins before we move on to our next segment, was with our own KF5JHA Chaz. So, Tom, this is KF5PDS to KE5ICX. If you will see if we have any additional check-ins, and then I'll give you permission to hand off to Chaz after you're done.
I will do exactly that. This is KE5IC. Guys, I'll take additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us, please come now with your call sign, phonetically your name, and where you're transmitting from. I will add you to the list.
Live. Juliet, Delta Whiskey, Mobile, Dallas County.
I've got K5JDW, John. He's mobile. He's in his regular home. He has his summer home up in Oklahoma City. He's got his regular home here. He's everywhere. Anyone over on Echolink? I see a question from David, W5EVB. And then there's Chaz. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Anyone over on Echolink who has not checked in who would like to do so, please come out. All right, done. We'll move on. I'll go ahead and I have permission for this, so I'm driving the Parabola airplane right now. We're headed straight down. KF5JHA, I have permission to give you permission to discuss what's in the sky. What's up? You're up.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Billy. Good evening, everyone. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree is in astrophysics, and I work at Brookhaven College. So I just want to let you know a little bit about what's going on the nighttime sky. We had fairly good observing conditions to watch the total lunar eclipse last Sunday evening. I had some high thin clouds right here in Mesquite at times. They were a little bit thicker, but most of the time I could easily see the moon even through them. I took around, 300 pictures or so of the eclipse. What is noteworthy is that there was a meteorite that struck the moon just at the beginning of totality, around 10:41 p.m. It was reported that NASA will try to image the area of the moon where the impact took place with a lunar reconnaissance orbiter to see if they can find the crater as a result of the strike. If you'd like to see some pictures and even some videos of that meteorite impact, visit the website spaceweather.com and look at the picture gallery. Before you ask me, no, I did not capture the impact on any of my pictures. The impact only lasted about a second or so. Dallas hosted an eclipse watching session, and there was an estimated 500 people that attended, as well as Channel 11 showed up. But what impressed Dr. Joe Eisen, a faculty member at UTD, was when the eclipse was over and the UTD folks were packing up, there was a double halo around the moon, a 22 degrees halo surrounding an 18-degree halo. The 22-degree halo is not uncommon with ice crystals in the cirrus clouds, but it takes a particular shape ice crystal to produce the 18-degree halo. But seeing both at the same time is probably a once-in-a-lifetime event. By the way, Dr. Joe Eisen is one of the scientists that is on the team responsible for the Atlas detector. Which is at the center of the CERN Large Hadron Collider. It was the one that detected the Higgs boson elementary particle. With all that being said, if a double halo around the moon impressed Joe Eisen, must be impressive. Partial lunar eclipse visible from the Dallas area will be on November the 19th, 2021, and it's almost a total lunar eclipse, that one is. But the next total lunar eclipse visible from the Dallas area is on May 15th and 16th. It goes past midnight in the year 2022. So it's going to be a little while before we see another total lunar eclipse. Starts the week on January 27th at third quarter phase, and on February the 4th is new. So that places the moon in the morning sky for those early risers this week. On January 30th and 31st, the moon will be close to Jupiter and then Venus in the pre-dawn sky. Then on February the 1st, in order from left to right, if you're looking in the southeastern sky, you'll see Saturn, then the moon, then Venus, then Jupiter, and then the bright star Antares all in a line. This should make for a great picture-taking opportunity. On the 5th, the moon will be at apogee with a distance from the Earth of 406,506 kilometers. Apogee is the point where the moon's orbit is the furthest from the Earth. In the evening sky, getting away from the city lights, you might be able to see the fainter part of the winter Milky Way that stretches from the south through overhead into the north, going from the constellations of Canis Major into the north through Orion, through Auriga, and then through Perseus, and then to Cassiopeia. But the winter evening sky is dominated by the most bright stars of any other time of the year. There is a winter circle of bright stars, beginning with the bright star Capella that is overhead in the constellation of Auriga. Then going clockwise, you will find Aldebaran. That's the bright red bullseye in Taurus, the bull. Continuing on in the circle, we arrive at the bright star on the knee of Orion, one of the knees. That would be Rigel. Rigel was mentioned in the Star Trek series, so it's kind of famous in that regard. Sirius is the next star in the circle, which is the brightest star in the entire nighttime sky. Next is the star Procyon in Canis Minor. Now there is two stars after that, representing the heads of the Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux. And finally, we get back to the star Capella. Center of the circle is the supergiant star Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse. You can spot Mars high in the southwestern sky in the constellation of Pisces. It's a reddish color, and that gives it away. Mars is not very close to us at 222 million kilometers, but back on July the 30th, 2018, Mars was much closer to the Earth at a distance of only 57 million kilometers. In fact, the Texas Astronomical Society and Brookhaven College hosted a Mars observing event on July the 30th, on July the 31st to spy on Mars. The session was originally scheduled to take place on July the 30th, but clouds interfered, so we had to move the session to the next night on July the 31st. With about 15 telescopes and an estimated 400 people, it was a pretty great session. You turn your attention to the northern part of the sky. Polaris is about 33 degrees high. That has to do with our latitude. Our latitude is roughly 33 degrees here in the Dallas area, the Metroplex area, and that's why Polaris is that high. I lived in Seattle for 5 years, and Polaris is 47 degrees high because that's the latitude of Seattle. Polaris is not a very bright star. It's shining at second magnitude in brightness. It's the 49th brightest star in the sky. Left of Polaris, in the northwestern sky, you can find the constellation of Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia looks sort of like the letter E. If you go to the right of Polaris, in the northeastern part of the sky, you can find the Big Dipper rising with its bowl above the handle. It looks kind of strange to have the Big Dipper standing on its handle. Okay, well, that's it for this week's Was Up. This is Chaz, KF5, JHA, and back to net control.
Great. Well, thanks very much, Chaz. Boy, it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to. I look forward to seeing that alignment coming up. That sounds really spectacular. I have a question for you, Chaz, with regards to that. You said it was going to be great for taking pictures. Would that be good for like a wide field, like on a DSLR? Or would you need a telescope, like to put your camera onto for prime focus? Or what would be a good way to take pictures of that lineup if folks are interested?
A regular camera, DSLR, is going to be fine. I don't think you'll need any telescope or anything like that. It's going to be a wider field view. Depending on the camera that's on your cell phone, it might capture some of those objects. If you want, you can go take a look at some of the pictures that people have been recently taking of Venus and Jupiter that have been close together the last several nights in the sky. On the Texas Astronomical Society Facebook page, there's several pictures that are posted there of what people have taken and what they've taken those pictures with. So, yeah, try something and see what happens. Thanks a lot, Billy. KF5 JHA.
Great, thanks, Chaz. Yeah, I definitely have been looking at those, especially the eclipse photos and everything, and I took some myself, but I'll look at those Venus and Jupiter pictures and see what they're doing. And like Chaz said, the Texas Astronomical Society has a Facebook page, so like and follow it, and you can get all these updates. I also wanted to throw out my eclipse experience. I went to a watching party at Texas A&M Commerce Observatory, which is just south of the Texas A&M Commerce campus in Campbell, Texas. So their observatory is small, but they have a real nice dome with a Meade 16-inch telescope, a 5-inch refractor that's mounted on top of that one in a very nice dome, and then they had several other telescopes out where people were looking through telescopes at the eclipse. So, and there was about 200 people, so that was very well attended also. And that was my first time there, so I was very impressed with the setup. It's not open to the public all the time because they use it mainly for university purposes for teaching their courses, but they did say that they were going to have about 4 events a year is what they're planning to do to open it to the public, to have other free star watching events. So they do, I believe, have a Facebook page. If you try Googling like Texas A&M Commerce Observatory, I found their page out there. I liked and followed it, and if you do that, you can get updates on their page as well. So it was a really nice site, and it was really dark, so it was a great place for viewing. So thanks again, Chaz, for that great update. We've got a Vomit Comet update also, so let me call on let me see. Call on David, W5EBB. Like to hear what your update is. So please come now.
It's more kind of just a follow-up about the comment that that it's anxiety that causes the air sickness. Well, the parabolic shape, certainly the weightlessness is on the way down, but on the way up you're pulling just as many positive G's pressing you into your seat. And that trajectory would remind me of a extremely large wooden roller coaster with the ups and downs. And I don't know anybody who would not throw up following that trajectory. So I'm not sure that anxiety is really the reason. Just common sense tells me that. W5EBB.
Yeah, I could totally see that. So thanks for that comment. Yeah, I was just reading out what the director of the place said, but I could see, like, if you're going up and it's pressing heavier on you, maybe that does cost some folks. Like you say, the roller coaster, you're going up, it is pressing on you. So maybe doing that repeatedly causes some panic in folks. I don't know. But, yeah, I could see that, just the pressure and just repeatedly doing that over and over and over again would cause some folks to vomit. So, but hence the nickname. Obviously, people have. And I think Tom also put up a great picture of Stephen Hawking. He got to go up and participate in some zero-G activity, which I thought was great that they got him up there to do that. So, I don't know if anybody out there has ever done that, but I think it'd be fun. I would be willing to try. So anyway, thanks for that comment, David. I really appreciate it. All right, this is KF5PDS, your net control for this session of the BARC Skynet. All right, next is our featured constellation. So at this time, I will turn the net over to Carolyn. But before I do, just want to remind you that you can follow along on w5fc.org website, where you can see sky maps and other pictures. So please follow along. And at this time, I'll turn the net over to Carolyn, KC5OZT. The net is yours.
Thank you, Billy. This is KC5OZT. And tonight we're going to look at Monoceros, the unicorn. It was introduced by Dutch navigators in the 17th century. It's relatively faint. There's only a few fourth magnitude stars, but it's home to some notable stars and a lot of interesting deep sky objects. And one of the beta Monoceros is a triple star system. You can resolve it into two stars with binoculars, but it's the brightest visible star in the constellation, and these are all the same spectral class stars. This disk orbiting them, and they're all hydrogen-fusing dwarfs. Probably the most famous of these is V838 Monoceros. It's a red M-class supergiant. Faint, though, magnitude 15.7, but it's a famous variable star. January of 2002, it suddenly became 600,000 times more luminous than our sun. It peaked at magnitude 6.75 in February, temporarily making it the brightest star in our galaxy. After a couple more peaks in infrared, the mysterious star faded, and the cause of the explosion is still uncertain, but it resulted in what's called a light echo, with the surrounding dust being illuminated by the star's light. The star grew enormously in size, but it didn't expel the outer layers, which is normal in nova explosions. But there's a picture of the star, and then there's a picture of several photos of it showing the expansion and the change. The Hubble Space Telescope took a lot of these pictures and have discovered new features. These details promise to provide astronomers with a CAT scan-like probe of the three-dimensional structure of shells of dust surrounding an aging star. And the star has also increased in temperature and luminosity, but it has decreased in radius. Okay, now moving on to deep sky objects. Like I say, there's several. We have M50, nice open cluster, magnitude 5.9, and it's distinct for it has a heart-shaped figure. Then we move on to the Rosette Nebula, which has several NGC numbers, but it's a large emission nebula, magnitude 9, an H2 region that's near a large molecular cloud. But it is a beautiful sight. The open cluster NGC 2244, which is associated with the nebula, is magnitude 4.8. Now, like I said, Rosette is made up of several parts, and all except this part is just part of the nebulous region. And there's a picture of the open cluster 2244 and the whole Rosette Nebula. And we have another nebula in cluster combination, the Christmas Tree Cluster and the Cone Nebula. That's a designation for two deep sky objects. And there are two other objects that fall within this designation but aren't officially included, known as the Snowflake Cluster and the Foxfur Nebula. But the Christmas Tree Cluster is an open cluster, magnitude 3.9. And there's a variable star, S, Monoceros, that marks the trunk of the tree. And another variable, V429, represents its top. The nebula part is H2 region. It's 7 light years long. It's in the southern parts of the region around the Christmas Tree Cluster. And it's sort of a dark nebula, but it makes a spectacular sight. Nebula. And it is a variable nebula, magnitude 9. It's illuminated by the light of the variable star, or Monoceros. And one of the explanations for this nebula's variability is that its dense dust clouds periodically block the light of the central star, which is completely enveloped by the nebula and not visible itself. Next object is called the Red Rectangle Nebula, and it's a protoplanetary nebula discovered in 1973. Nebula is magnitude 9, and it's a compact bipolar nebula, and it envelops a binary star completely. When the cool star at the center becomes a hot white dwarf in the next few thousand years, this will become a planetary nebula. Now, the image I sent over, the new Hubble image, well, I think it's been around for a while, but it reveals how, when seen from space, the nebula, rather than being rectangular, is actually shaped like an X with additional structures of glowing gas, a little like the rungs of a ladder. But it's a pretty spectacular sight. It's known as the Butterfly Nebula. It represents the ending of a binary star system. The center of the nebula lies a pair of stars that are so close they orbit around each other every 16 days. It's so close that even with Hubble, the pair can't be resolved. One component is a hot core of a star that is ejected most of the outer layers, producing the surrounding nebula. And they believe this evolved and expanded, actually swallowed its companion star. Resulting interaction led to spiraling together of the two stars, ending in ejection of the outer layers of the red giant into a dense disk surrounding the central star. And later the hot developed a fast wind, and this wind blowing out into the surrounding disk has inflated the large, wispy, hourglass-shaped wings, producing the butterfly appearance. So this may not have very many stars, except for one famous one, but it's got plenty of deep space objects to look at. So take a tour through this, and you'll be pleased, think. And unless there's any questions, Billy, I'll turn it back to you. KC50ZT.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions for Carolyn? If so, please come now with your call sign. Okay, not hearing any. This is KF5PDS, your net control for Skynet. At this time, we will talk about recent astronomical discoveries. So at this time, I'll turn the net over to Brenda, WB5OZL. The net is yours.
Thank you, Billy. This is WB5OZL. The first article I have is entitled, Where is Earth's submoon? This simple question, asked by a 4-year-old son of Carnegie's Juna Kohlmeyer, started it all, not long after this initial bedtime query, which is, can moons have moons? Kohlmeyer was coordinating a program at the Kavli Institute for Theoretical Physics on the Milky Way while her one-time college classmate Sean Raymond of Université de Bordeaux was attending a parallel KITP program on the dynamics of Earth-like planets. After discussing this very simple question, the two joined forces to solve it. Their findings are the basis of a paper published in monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. The duo kicked off an internet firestorm late last year when they posted a draft of their article examining the possibility of moons that orbit other moons on a pre-plant server for physics and astronomy manuscripts. The online conversation obsessed over the best term to describe such phenomena, with options like moons and mini-moons being thrown into the mix. But nomenclature was not the point of Kohlmeyer and Raymond's investigation, although they do have a preference for submoons. Rather, they sought to define the physical parameters for moons that would be capable of being stably orbited by other smaller moons. Planets orbit stars and moons orbit planets, so it was natural to ask if smaller moons could orbit larger ones, Raymond explained. The calculations show that only large moons on wide orbits from their host planets could host submoons. Tidal forces from both the planet and the moon act to destabilize the orbits. Submoons orbiting smaller moons or moons that are closer to their host planet. They found that moons in our own solar system are theoretically capable of hosting their own satellite submoons. Jupiter's moon, Callisto, Saturn's moons, Titan and Iapetus, and Earth's own moon all fit the bill of a satellite that could host its own satellite, although none have been found so far. However, they add that further calculations are needed to address possible sources of submoon instability, such as the non-uniform concentration of mass in our moon's crust. The lack of known submoons in our solar system, even orbiting around moons that could theoretically support such objects, can also news as to how our own and neighboring planets formed, about which there are still many outstanding questions, the Kohlmeyer explained. The moons orbiting Saturn and Jupiter are thought to have been born from the disk of gas and dust that encircle gas giant planets in the later stages of their formation. Our own moon, on the other hand, is thought to have originated in the aftermath of a giant impact between the young Earth and a Mars-sized body. The lack of stable submoons could help scientists better understand the different forces that shape the satellite. Could inform ongoing efforts to understand how planetary systems evolve elsewhere and how our own solar system fits into the thousands of others discovered by planet hunting missions. For example, the newly discovered possible exomoon orbiting the Jupiter-sized Kepler 1625b is the right mass and distance from its host to support a submoon, Kohlmeyer and Raymond found, although the infrared tilt of its orbit might make it difficult for such an object to remain stable. However, detecting a submoon around an exomoon would be very difficult. Given the excitement surrounding searches for potentially habitable exoplanets, Kohlmeyer and Raymond calculated that the best-case scenario for life on large submoons is around massive stars. Although extremely common, small red dwarf stars are so faint and their habitable suns so close that tidal forces are very strong, and submoons, and often even moons themselves, are unstable. Finally, the authors point out that an artificial submoon may be stable and therefore serve as a time capsule or outpost. On a stable orbiter on the moon, such as the one for NASA's proposed lunar gateway, a submoon would keep humanity's treasure safe for posterity long after Earth became unstable for life. Colmar and Raymond agree there is much more work to be done and fun to be had to understand submoons or the lack thereof as a rocky record of the history of planet-moon systems. Study B50ZL. The next article, stellar winds, the source material for the universe are clumpy. Data recorded by NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory of a neutron star as it passed through a dense patch of stellar wind emanating from its massive companion star provide valuable insight about the structure and composition of stellar winds and about the environment of the neutron star itself. A paper describing the research led by Penn State astronomers appears January 15, 2019 in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. Stellar winds are the fast-flowing material composed of protons, electrons, and metal atoms ejected from stars, said Parabolic Flight, a postdoctoral researcher in astronomy and astrophysics at Penn State and the lead author of the paper. This material enriches the star's surroundings with metals, kinetic energy, and ionizing radiation. It is the source material for star formation. Until the last decade, it was thought that stellar winds were homogeneous, but these Chandra data provide direct evidence that stellar winds are populated with dense clumps. The neutron star observed is part of a high-mass X-ray binary system. The compact, incredibly dense neutron star paired with a massive normal supergiant star. Neutron stars and binary systems produce X-rays when material from the companion star falls toward the neutron star and is accelerated to high velocities. As a result of this acceleration, X-rays are produced that can in turn interact with the materials of the stellar wind to produce secondary X-rays of signature energies at various distances from the neutron star. Neutral, uncharged iron atoms, for example, produce fluorescence X-rays with energies of 6.4 kilo-electron volts, roughly 3,000 times the energy of visible light. Astronomers use spectrometers, like the instrument on Chandra, to capture these X-rays and separate them based on their energy to learn about the composition of stars. Neutral iron atoms are a more common component of stars, so we usually see a large peak of 6.4 keV in the data from our spectrometers when looking at X-rays from most neutron stars in a high-mass X-ray binary system, said Pradhan. When we looked at X-ray data from the high-mass X-ray binary system known as OAO1657-415, we saw that this peak at 6.4 keV had an unusual feature. The peak had a broad extension down to 6.3 keV. This extension is referred to as a Compton shoulder and indicates that X-rays from neutral iron are being backscattered by dense matter surrounding the star. This is only the second high-mass X-ray binary system where such a feature could be detected. Well, this article goes on quite a while. I think I'll stop here. They're both on ScienceDaily.com, so you can go there and read more about it. Back to net. This is WV5OZL.
Great. Thank you very much, Brenda. Appreciate that. This is KF5PDS, your net control for Skynet. All right, next up is space exploration and space history. So at this time, I will turn the net over to Tony, NT5TM. The net is yours.
Good evening, Billy. This is Tony, NT5TM. In space exploration news, a new high-resolution picture of 2014 U-69 Ultima Thule has been returned by New Horizons. This was obtained with the multicolor visible imaging camera of its famous Ralph instrument, taken just 7 minutes before closest approach. According to Alan Stearns, the principal investigator for New Horizons, this is an important image because it is beginning to show the geologic differences between the large and small halves of Ultima Thule, as well as a little bit more detail of the bright white color between the two halves of the object. Next month, he does point out there will be better color and higher resolution images that will help unravel even more mysteries of 2014 U-69. Also, scientists studying moon rocks have announced an important discovery from NASA's Apollo program many years after the fact. They found a small pebble from Earth. Now, what's important about this small pebble from Earth is that it was found by Apollo 14 on the moon. Scientists from Curtin University, working together with the Swedish Museum of Natural History, the Australian National University, and the Lunar and Planetary Institute in Houston, discovered that this little 1.8-gram pebble was, well, granite with quartz and zirconium inclusions. Now, the funny thing is there is almost no granite on the moon and practically no quartz either. So it really appears that this is an ancient piece of Earth rock that was blasted off the Earth by a meteor or asteroid impact and eventually landed on the moon, making it a rare and fascinating piece of science. I will reset here and in just a few seconds go over this week in space history. And this is NT5TM. We have a few interesting items this week in space history. One space-related birthday, Buzz Aldrin was born on January 20th, 1930. He was a test pilot. He flew on Gemini 12, Apollo 11. He was the second person to walk on the moon and commander of Comet, the U.S. Air Force Test Pilot School. He's a Twitter celebrity and is famous as being just about the fastest fist in the astronaut corps if you call him a coward and a traitor, which I don't recommend. Also this week in space history, on January 20th, 1967, oops, bang. Apollo Saturn stage, the S4B, the third stage, model number 503, exploded and was destroyed at the manufacturer's test facility. They were doing a simulated countdown, and just 10 seconds before the simulated launch, there was a not simulated explosion. On 1968, January 22nd, there was no explosion. In fact, there was the launch of Apollo 5. This was the first flight in outer space of a lunar module using a Saturn 1B rocket launched from Kennedy Space Center. There was no command module and no crew. This was just a lunar module. They had the main goal of verifying that the lunar module would work in space and evaluate the performance of its engines as well as that of the Saturn third stage, which was used as the second stage of the Saturn 1B. The vehicle went flight mostly as planned. Because they had an accidental guidance shutdown, they could not quite carry out the test program they intended to, but they found that they were able to analyze their mission profile and quickly replan the remaining flight, determined that there was no hardware problem with the lunar module itself, but a software problem with the software that monitored the descent stage engine. So they did complete their mission and left the lunar module stages in orbit to re-enter the atmosphere later, and they felt that the mission was a complete success, largely because of careful planning to allow them lots of test choices in case one of the tests or some piece of software malfunctioned. Also in, January 22nd, 2003, the last transmission was received from the venerable Pioneer 10. Pioneer 10 at this point had run out of maneuvering fuel as well as, I believe, cold gases for use and doing roll calibration maneuvers so it could no longer maneuver to keep its antenna pointed accurately at the Earth. So this last signal was received in a very faint condition with no usable data, and it did not receive any signal at all, or we on Earth didn't, during the final contact attempt on February 7, 2003. So this January transmission was the last time Pioneer 10 was tracked at all. The signal took 11 hours and 20 minutes to reach Earth. Pioneer 10 is on its way to the star Aldebaran, 68 light years away. Take about 2 million years to get there. Voyager 2 is still operational, and on January 24th, 1986, Voyager 2 made its closest approach to the planet Uranus. Its images of the 5 largest moons around that planet revealed complex and weird surfaces indicating very strange and unexpected geologic pasts. The cameras of Voyager 2 detected 11 new moons, 2 new rings, and lots of detail of the ring system. Voyager 2 discovered Uranus's magnetic field and showed that the magnetic field is not centered on the planet. It's offset to one side. That's unique, and no one knows quite why. NT5PM, resetting. On January 25th, 1964, Echo 2 was launched. This was the last passive balloon-style communication satellite. There were Echo 1 and Echo 2. These were big balloons. Echo 2 was unique because it was designed to lock in an inflated state. They inflated it, and then the gas could leak out. They didn't have to keep it inflated. It would stay round and shiny. It was a bright, bright, bright artificial star. It was even used by observers on the ground for navigation. Americans on the ground in Moscow used measurements of the position of Echo 2 to carefully establish the position of Moscow, which the Soviet Union didn't like to show on maps, so that ICBMs could be aimed more accurately at it. And a neat piece of trivia, one of the antennas built by AT&T to communicate by bouncing signals off the satellite was later used to detect the microwave echo of the Big Bang by Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson. Another satellite with defense implications that did good science was launched on January 25th, 1994. This was Clementine 1. It orbited the moon. It was meant to test how sensors that were very sensitive, meant for detecting missile launches, would perform in space, and they performed very well. They mapped the geology of the moon in a way never done before. But there was a computer glitch. Bad software caused a thruster to fire continuously until the spacecraft was spinning at 80 RPM and there was no fuel left. Oops, mission over. But it did some good mapping. On January 25th, 2004, the Opportunity Rover, also known as MER-1 or MER-B, strange, 1 and B don't go together, landed on Mars. This really, really successful rover last communicated with the Earth on June 10th, 2018, which was not so good, but it lasted, 15 years on the red planet and made a lot of interesting discoveries about the evidence of water, and it found the first meteorite found on Mars. On January 26, 1962, Ranger 3 was launched. If you want to learn about how institutions deal with failure, don't read about Spirit and Opportunity because they were beautiful, brilliant successes. Read about the Ranger program. They tended to explode or crash into the sea. In the case of Ranger, they lost control of the booster and couldn't cut the engine off. Then they lost control of its second stage. So it missed the moon. They tried to do some backup science, but because they'd never tested the satellite's payload working together, it didn't work. The computer turned itself off and the craft spun out of control and couldn't be aimed at the moon even to get pictures of it. Oopsie. Lunar Impact, A History of Project Ranger is a fun book you can get online, and again, it's great for learning about failure. So from the great successes of Apollo 5 and Spirit and Opportunity and Curiosity to the resounding explosions of that Apollo S4B and Ranger 3, that's This Week in Space History. I'm NT5TM.
Great, thank you, Tony, and I hope you're having fun out there at Winter Field Day. So thanks for bringing us those great space history tidbits. All right, so since we're getting kind of short on time, we don't really have time to go over some Visilite satellite passages, but I will give you some information where you can go look this up. If you go to www.heavens-above.com, you can go to that website to find out what's in orbit and where to look for flyovers. It has information about the International Space Station and other satellites that are in orbit. And there's also other cool stuff out there. You can put in your own location so that you can find out when the flyovers will be for your location. So again, that's www.heavens-above.com. All right, at this time, I just will see if we have any further check-ins. Anybody would like to get in for the count on the net? Tom, if I'll turn it over to you, KE5ICX, if you will see if we have any last-minute check-ins and get us a count of how many people checked in this evening, I'd appreciate it. This is KF5PDS to KE5ICX.
This is KE5ICX, alternate net control for tonight's Skynet. I'll go ahead and take additional check-ins over here. Please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. If you're out there, please come now.
Five, it's Juliet, Delta Whiskey, with a comment if you've got time at the end.
November 5, Hotel Yankee Papa, Tom and Irving checking in.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, J near Weatherford, checking in.
All right, I do have N5HYP, Tom and Irving. I've got KG5BZW, J near Weatherford, and I also have, did I do that right? I think I did. And K5JDW, John, he has a comment. Let's see here. I'll take additional check-ins and then gonna go back to John. So anybody else who would like to check in, please come now. Okay, very good. K5JDW, John, go ahead with your comment.
Quickly, hope I've got enough signal to get into the repeater here. K5JW Mobile. Cassiopeia, I was thinking it looks more like a W than E, but that's personal. Hey, I just want to kind of brag on, I don't brag on OU very often, but they opened up their Museum of Natural History lobby during eclipse night, and they offered the front of their museum there to be used by the Oklahoma Astronomical Society and also, whomever. They put out a thing on Facebook and all sorts of stuff, and they had about 350 to 400 people they estimated to show up. And like I said, they opened up the lobby so you could get warm, go to the bathroom, because it was like about 30 degrees. And they had a couple of guys from SCARS, which is the South Canadian Amateur Radio Society or Service or Club. Anyway, or Service, maybe Society. Anyway, they a couple of those guys, they actually had some telescopes trained on the eclipse, and they were taking, multiple pictures. They had a projector projecting the eclipse on the front wall of the museum, which is really cool, and also sent out some slow scan TV pictures of the eclipse. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool, and it went really well. Had a lot of people there from even a high school. I think there was a North Norman High School there as well, so that helped, with all the people that showed up. A lot of telescopes were there as well. And also, you were talking about those Weightless studies earlier. I guess I was thinking about that. You can't discount, of course, the conflict between your semicircular canals and your visual reference. So just like if you're in a car reading or something. Anyway, that's all I got. Kilo 5, Juliet, Delta Whiskey Mobile.
All right, thank you, John. And Miss Billy and I had this conversation earlier, so I'm going to take only the lead on this and see if anybody else has additional comments about the eclipse, pictures, otherwise. Please come now, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Miss Billy. Anybody have any additional comments about the eclipse, lunar eclipse, and what you saw?
EBB.
Completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net.
W5 EBV. Go ahead, David.
Well, while I didn't take any pictures, I did look through the telescope at various stages of the eclipse. And it's very interesting how, even though it was fairly well illuminated, I guess you could say, when it was in the reddish eclipsed portion, the surface detail was very bland. There was not much detail to be seen at all, which I thought was kind of curious. I mean, it's still roughly illuminated, but you didn't see the contrast or obviously not as much contrast as you would when it's bright, but you couldn't make out hardly any of the surface detail that you could when it would be normally illuminated. I did not see the flash of light, whatever it was, meteor or otherwise. But what's interesting to note that I've read earlier today is that that occurred 2 seconds after totality, after totality. The maximum eclipse, which is an interesting coincidence. W5 EBB.
K5 JDW with another comment.
Okay, go ahead, John, and then I'm going to send it back to net control. You're up.
This is comment on the resolution. You will not get much resolution in details, depth, et cetera, when the sun's, when you're looking at the same angle, the sun's shining. Most pictures of the moon, when they want to get that depth and that resolution and stuff, the craters and stuff stand out, like doing a quarter moon or things like that, when the sun's at more of an angle. That's when your shadows give you a lot more definition. So you're probably not going to see much with the sun right behind you. K5 JW.
Very good, thank you. And I'm going to send this back to net control. This is KE5ICX.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tom, for getting those last check-ins. So thanks to those folks joining, and thanks to John and David for those great comments. All right, so tonight we have 17 hams participating on the air, so thank you to all who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all the other DARC nets. If you would like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. So until next Saturday night, this is KF5PDS, Billy, and I'll be closing the net at 22:32 local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. So 73, everybody, and enjoy the evening discovering the universe. And don't forget, after this net, stick around for a Afterglow movie net where we'll be discussing Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. So 73, everyone.
We'll be back with the Afterglow Movie Net in 5. Back in 5. This is KE5ICX. Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the Afterglow Movie Net? Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, my name's Tom. Yeah, it's still Tom. And tonight is, right now is the time for the Afterglow Movie Net. What do we talk about? Well, we talk about old movies, the new movies, anything science fiction-y related. And as such, there is assigned movies, which is tonight Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog. And we conclude this month's not ready for prime time video stuff that never appeared on TV and never appeared on in movie theaters. This one is one of them during the writer's strike from 2008, created by Joss Whedon. It's called Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog, and after 10 years, 11 years, this thing has turned into its own cult thing. So before I begin check-ins, I'll go ahead and read you the synopses done by my personal organization that goes in and digs deep into all of this, called Wikipedia. This is what they have to say about this particular 42-minute long show. Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog is a 2008 musical comedy drama mini-series in 3 acts, produced exclusively for internet distribution. Yeah, the interwebs. Filmed and set in Los Angeles, the show tells the story of Dr. Horrible, played by Neil Patrick Harris, an inspiring supervillain, Captain Hammer, played by Nathan Fillion, his nemesis, and Penny, played by Felicia Day, a charity worker, and their shared love interest. The series was written by writer-director Joseph Wheaton, his brothers Zach Wheaton, a television writer, and Jed Wheaton, a composer, and writer-actress Marissa T. We'll call her T because I can't pronounce her last name. The team wrote the musical during the 2000-2008 Writers Guild of America strike. The idea was to create something small and inexpensive, yet professionally done in a way that would circumvent the issues that were being protested during the strike. Reception has been overwhelmingly positive. On October 31st, 2008, Time magazine named it number 15 in Time's top 50 inventions of 2008. It also won a People's Choice Award for Favorite Online Sensation, and in 2009, Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form. In the inaugural 2009 Steamy Awards for Web Television, Dr. Horrible won 7 awards. Audience Choice Award for Best Web Series, Best Directing for a Comedy Web Series, Best Directing for a Comedy Web Series, Best Male Actor in a Comedy Web Series, Best Editing, Best Cinematography, Best Original Music, and Best. It also won the 2009 Creative Arts Emmy Award for Outstanding Special Class Short Format Live Action Internet Program on your computer. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. I am not reading the synopses because this synopsis is longer than most of our movie synopses, which run for a movie that's at least 70 minutes long. This thing goes on forever. So I'm not doing it. So I'm not going to do it. So instead, what I'm going to do is take check-ins. So I'll take short-time check-ins. If you feel that you're going to fall asleep early, then you need to check in now. Please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from. Short time only.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo.
And let me know if you saw the movie. That's important. So I got N5BB. Bill, did you see the movie?
Ah, yes.
Perfect. Additional check-in, short time only. Come with your call sign name. Did you see this thing?
Kilo Golf 5, India Foxtrot. This is David in the Peace, and yes, I saw it and loved it.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Echo Link, short time, did not see the movie, I'll just be listening, NT5TM.
I did get, I'll need some fills. I got Bill. N5BB, short time. I know you're going on a trip tomorrow to Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. So I know you're gonna want to go home, or if you aren't already. David, I got KG5 question mark kilo. Try one more time, David. You dropped out. Can I get your full call?
Pardon that, this is Kilo Golf 5, Uniform India Foxtrot. Short time.
Okay, that's a new one on me. I think a Kilo Golf 5, Uniform India Foxtrot. David, you did see it. And I got Tony, NT5TM. He did not see it. All right, since you are both short time, what do you got for us this evening? I'll let you go ahead and make your comments on this Dr. Horrible sing-along blog. Let's start with Bill, N5BB. What do you got for us on this fine film?
Tom, this is N5BB. Well, I did not really know what to expect, but since it came highly rated by Tom Schessler's daughter, I figured it was probably good, and it was. So, I liked it. Once I started viewing it, I could not stop it. I could not put it down until I finished it. I thought it ended rather quickly. I really wanted to see more of Bad Horse and the evil League of Evil hench people that work with Bad Horse. But unfortunately, all we got to see was a visual look around at the end. I also wish he'd opened up the Wonderflonium case and shown us what was inside, but that's okay. I guess being hidden was okay for the Wonderflonium. I thought it was very good. I liked it. I thought that Captain Hammer was very high ego, and Dr. Horrible was very insecure, and Penny was just perfect. What more can I say? It was good. I liked the music, and I have some notes. I don't think I'm going to refer to them. Moist. Of course, we had Moist up there, who was Moist. Anyway, I think it was just the right level of zaniness. That's all I got. It's Habibi.
All right, thanks, Bill. If you're around, I'll do an additional round. If you're around, you are. If you're not, you're not. You said you were short time, and that's cool. So enjoy your flight with starving ATC people guiding your flights. Okay, KT5 UIF, Uniform India Foxtrot. David, your comments on the film. You saw it. Go ahead. He was questionable signal coming in. David, we'll come back to you later. NT5TM, Tony, you're listening. Saw you today. Good to see you. Okay, I'll take general check-ins now. This is the cool group. Everyone would like to join us this evening. Please come now with your call sign name. Did you see Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog? Please come now.
November 5, Hotel Yankee Papa, Tom and Irving. Yes, we saw them.
A5AH, Robert Mobile Richardson. No, we didn't see it.
KG5TRH, this is Anna, also in Irving, and yes, I saw the movie.
Whiskey 5 Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas. Yes, I saw it.
Kilo, Foxtrot 5, Tango, Sierra Kilo, Burrell in Dallas. I did see the movie.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brendan DeSoto. Yes, I saw it.
Kilo Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn in Louisville, and I did see it.
Kilo Echo Whiskey, cancel. Kilo Echo Zero Tango Whiskey Quebec. No, I didn't see it. John KCK via Echo Link.
Let me go ahead and get that group. I know there's more out there. Let me acknowledge N5HYP, Tom in Irving, he saw it. AA5AH, Robert, Mobile in Richardson. I don't know if I wrote down if you saw it or not. Robert, did you see the movie?
No, I did not see the movie.
That's okay. You did not. You got to see it, though. It's pretty cool. 42 minutes of fun. We'll come back to you later. Let's see. I got Anna, Papa Romeo Hotel over in Irving. Anna, could I get your full call? I had a brain lock there.
KG5TRH. Kilo Golf 5, Tango Romeo Hotel.
I heard Tom in the background. I know where you are. Kilo Golf 5, Tango Romeo Hotel. I know you have a lot to say about this film. All right, Anna, I got you on the list. W5EVV, David in Dallas. Yep, you saw it. K5TSK, Burrow in Dallas. Yep, you saw it. WB5OZL, Brenda in DeSoto. Yep, she saw it. KC5OZT, Karen, my neighbor down the street. Yep, she saw it. KE0TWQ, John Boy somewhere out in Echolink land. We got you there. No, you did not see it, but we appreciate your check-ins. All right, I'll take another over in, and I'm going to Echolink. Anybody who would like to join us to talk about Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, please come here, call sign name. Let me know if you see where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, near Weatherford. Yes, I did see the film.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy and Sherman. Yes, I saw the film.
Okay, let me get those two check-ins. I got KG5BZWJ near Weatherford. Yep, you saw the movie. KF5PDS, Miss Billy in Sherman. She did see the movie. Okay, I'll open it up. Anybody, anywhere would like to join us this evening, whether you saw the movie or not, doesn't matter. Let me know if you're out there, but do tell me if you did check in. Come with your call sign name. Did you see Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog? Okay, this is how it works. We go ahead and talk about plot. Plot, why not? What did you think about the plot, the ingenuity of everything that went into this production? 42 minutes long. So what we'll do is I'll ask Bill. He may have already checked out, but I'll start with him at the top of the list. Bill, if you're still there, what did you think of the plot? If you're gone, that's okay. N5DB from KE5ICX.
Oh, I'm still here, Tom. I'm doing some things in the background here. Plot, moderately simple. Dr. Horrible trying to get into the evil league of evil and determines that after he fails at his first attempt at evilness, horribleness, you got to remember he's got a PhD in horribleness. But he failed, so he then was told he was going to have to kill to get into the evil league of evil, which he ends up doing, although not the target he wants to kill. It's an interesting plot in that Billy, Dr. Horrible, is likable, and he's kind of the protagonist, and you kind of want him to succeed, but he's horrible. And he's trying to get into the evil league of evil. And Captain Hammer, his nemesis, who is vain and easy to hate, is actually a pretty good guy. And Penny, who we want to like because she likes all good things, seems to be not very smart, unfortunately. So, I don't know. It kind of twists things on its end. That's all the plot I got inside BB.
All right, Bill, thank you. It's going to be interesting. Let's see, David, Kilo Golf 5, Uniform, India, Foxtrot. Are you out there? You saw the movie. What did you think of Dr. Horrible? All right, we lost him. I think his battery was on low. N5HYP, Tom Etel Company, but I know that Anna's out there. She has comments, but let's start with Tom. He's at the top of the list. What did you think of the plot?
Juliet Delta Whiskey. I'll just take that spot to check in.
And you're at the bottom of the list, so a bad horse has to accept you into the Evil League. Tom, N5HYP, second opportunity. You appear distracted, but if you're there, Bad Horse says, tell us about the plot.
I ended up being off frequency. Am I there now? Yep, I am. Just N5HYP. That wasn't good. I was saying that I had to admit that I had not seen this, despite Anna's extreme interest in it for the last 10 years. I think I'd only seen parts of it. I kind of walked through it at one point. I do have to admit that the plot is very, very, it's simple, but it is ingenious. It does accomplish some nice things. Bill is very right. You want to kind of like Billy. You want to kind of see Billy as Dr. Horrible succeed, although, he is really horrible at being horrible. And eventually at the end he does succeed, but it is not what he wants. And so he ends up very empty as a result. That's my take on the plot. This is N5HYP, back to net.
All right, thank you, Tom. We have a reversal of characters and story, I think. Yes, it's simple, but is it really? All right, AA5AH, Robert, you did not see it. Do you have any comments at this point? AA5AH from KE5ICX. Hey, that's okay. We'll come back later. Maybe. The world could end. KG5TRH, Anna, you have comments. Please tell us what you think about the plot to Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along blog.
You are absolutely right that I have comments. KG5TRH, sorry. So, yes, you are absolutely right that I have comments. I love this musical so much. And I would have to agree with you that the plot, it seems very simple at your first view, but it really is incredibly complex. Mainly because there's just so many tropes that it has that it is completely reversing while still using those tropes. And that is incredibly difficult to do as a writer and as a story, to have so much of that, where your villain is actually the hero and the hero is the villain, and your love interest that never actually speak to each other, but how that defined what he wanted so much that literally every single time he talked about his future, it always had something to do with Penny. And so when he finally got what he wanted, he got the world that he wanted to make, but it didn't have her in it. It was completely worthless. So one of the reasons I absolutely love it is just those last two words and how they did that. I won't feel a thing, and how that just completely changes the entire feel, and it changes it and makes it a commentary on getting what you want. And I don't know, I have so much I can say. Oh, call sign KG5TRH.
All right, that's okay. No, this is wonderful. I'm glad you got comments, and I loved your synopses. Well, we are in perfect agreement on that. We need you more on these nets. Okay, stand by. There is more to come. You need to have additional comments later. W5EDV, David, in Dallas, you saw Dr. Horrible. What did you think of the plot? Be honest.
Well, first of all, I'm not nearly as impressed by Andrew Lloyd Webber after seeing Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. It would easily beat Cats, Hair, Rent, and Hamilton for a Tony in the category of Outstanding Achievement for Longest Musical Title. Now, the plot actually can be, the gist of it, the moral of it, is something I wrote 20 years ago when I was a engineer/philosopher. Okay, I was my own philosopher at the time. But it would be this. The achievements of misguided ambitions are nothing more than successful mistakes. W5EBB.
What? That's it? Okay. Well, we'll come back to you on characters later. KFI TSK, Burrow and Dallas. By the way, it's good seeing both of you today, David and Burrow. Your comments on plot. Please be specific and spell correctly.
This is KFI TSK. Well, the thing that really bothered me about the whole movie is, Dr. Horrible was more interested in the woman, but, it's like he invented things that just didn't work, almost worked. And, even in the end, it was like, he wasn't really that happy, he could rob whatever he wanted, but that wasn't really, his goal in life. KF5 TSK, back to that.
All right, Bill. I appreciate your comments. I've got comments after your comments, but I have to get further comments. So keep that in mind for future comment. WB5OZL, Miss Brenda in DeSoto. Yes, you saw this. What did you think of the plot?
This is WB5OZL. Well, I liked the story. But, it's a tragic story where you try so hard to get something that it causes you to lose it. And it's a common theme in literature and movies and such, and it's a tragedy. But, it was sort of whimsical in a dark way. And, it's different. I'll say that. But, what a cast. It was fabulous. All those people. And, as I said, it was neat, unique. The whole idea of a sing-along to tell the story. So, yeah, I was pleased. WB5OZL.
Hey, Brenda. This is KE5ICX Net Control for tonight's After Go Movie Net. We're talking about Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog from 2008. If you're listening and you remember that or you disremember it, it's okay because you'll have a chance to check in a bit. Next up, KC5OZT, Miss Carolyn, my neighbor down the street. What did you think of Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog? Plot, please.
Well, it was, basically it was a light opera, but, yeah, you sort of felt sympathetic for him, and yet he was trying to be evil, you know, but the plot, one thing, it moved right along, you know, no awkward pauses, it seemed to me, anyway, there was a lot of common, you know, like the washateria and stuff, you know, that you don't usually see in movies, and then, of course, it had a tragic ending, at least, Hammer, and for, I mean, he know he wasn't killed, you know, he was, for Dr. Horrible, he got what he wanted, but, like I said, you know, it wasn't the way he wanted it, or, and that's, sort of the, what you find in operas, I think that's it, KC5OZT.
Thank you, Miss Carolyn. I've asterisked your name, which, by the way, was a conversation today about asterisks, and that will come into play later on. But you make a very good point about opera. Let's see. Next up is KE0TWQ, John Boy. He's over on Echolink. You didn't see it, but do you have any comments about, I don't know, opera? If you haven't seen Dr. Horrible, you need to. If you got any comments, please come now. We'll give you extra time. Hearing nothing, he went to bed, or he's totally confused by this net, which is completely understandable. KG5BZWJ near Weatherford, your comments on the plot. Go ahead.
This is KG5BZW. Yeah, I kind of, my comments, I was going to say, kind of echo what Carolyn said. Just, it's very tightly written, and it just occurred to me, like, about the past couple of minutes, just how, I don't know how to say this. It just makes me think about it in a little different way, but, I mean, really, you could, it's, Well, you have plots that are movie-like, and then you have plots that are play-like, and this is definitely a play. Let's just put it that way. And it just moves from one thing to the next without really, it's not too quick. It's not. I'm going to go three bears here. Not too quick, not too drawn out. No languishing on certain points or anything. It just kind of goes right along, and I really like the music in this. I know that's not really plot, but I mean the integration of the music into the plot. It's very. Won't say there's not other musicals or music plays that do that, but just I don't know. A lot of it's hard to separate what's. Do I like Joss Whedon because of the play, or do I like the play because of Joss Whedon? I think I honestly became a fan of Joss Whedon because of this play. I mean, I'm calling it play, even though it's a sing-along blog. It's a movie kind of thing, but it's kind of really a kind of a play that just kind of goes into a movie format. But anyway, and I'm just gobbling on other stuff. I am clearly not living to the expectations of this film because I am not talking to it. Anyway, gosh, I don't know what else to say about plot. I'm going too long here. So I'll head to the next person. This is KG5BZW.
Thanks, Jay. I think we'll come around for another round, and it will be characterization, so be ready for that one. KFI-PDS, Miss Billy, we had a great conversation about Joss Whedon this afternoon on the phone. But what do you think about this iteration? How do you do on plot? KFI-PDS from KE5ICX. Let me try again. KF5PDS from KE5ICX. Are you there? I'll come back to you later if I need to. We'll come back. K5GDW, John. You got any comments? I think you're mobile. You said. Did you see this fine film? And what are your comments on plot if you did? I did not see it, sir. I was just in for the count. K5GDW. Hey, no problem. Glad you checked in. It's always good to hear from you, John. Let's go ahead and let me vamp a little bit, and then we'll see what we can do afterwards. This is the Afterglow Movie Net. Tonight we are talking about Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, which is literally a musical of science fiction interest. It took place in 2008 during the writer's strike, in which case there was nothing on TV, but the internet was emerging as a formidable force. And Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, done by Joss Wheaton, turned into this big phenomenon that is still loved today. And I happen to be a big fan of it as well. Okie dokie, let's go ahead and go to the top of the list. Bill, if you're there, I think you may be, N5BB. What did you think about the plot, not the plot, the characters, the characterizations? Go ahead.
This is N5BB. I'm still here. Well, let's see. Dr. Horrible was horrible, and he was horrible in every sense of the word. He was trying to be horrible, and he was horrible at being horrible, as somebody else previously said, because he has a PhD in horribleness. So I think that Neil Patrick Harris did a good job playing him, very insecure, horrible person. Moist was moist, and that was about it. Definitely a moist sidekick. Captain Hammer was good at being a nemesis, and he was very egocentric, and I thought that was very good. I thought he did a good job being who he was, a nemesis who was, in one sense, good, in another sense, way over the top egomaniac. Only cared about himself. Bad Horse. We only saw Bad Horse in the last scene at the very end. Bad Horse was obviously evil incarnate. The head of the evil league of evil. Often sung about, but rarely seen. I think it was good that Bad Horse was a horse. Penny was sweet and nice and largely clueless in this movie, in this production. The cowboy singers, can't remember if they had a name, that sung the little ditties in the background were not really characterized. They were just the chorus. Anyway, I thought the characterization was good. I thought the acting was pretty good, too. Probably my last transmission. N5BB, good evening.
All right, Bill. Did. Da-da-da. Okay, it's all right. It's fine. You did a great job on CW today. Got a lot of contacts thanks to you. You're awesome. So thanks very much. You got to go to bed. You have to go to bed because you got to go to Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas tomorrow. I'm just saying. Okay, I forgot to make some comments on my own about what I thought about the plot. So I'm going to tell you my comments, even if you don't want to hear them. When I first saw this thing, it was online. I'm like most computer nerds and people into amateur radio, which most of the time are computer nerds too, is that this thing was being released during the writer's strike, and they had a new section, a new act, once a week for 3 weeks, And it became a big deal because Joe Sweeten was the guy who came up with Firefly, which, by the way, we reviewed a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. And as such, when he came out with something new, we're all going, wow, this could be really cool. And he brought in his stable of stars who probably didn't get anything at all from this because they weren't working. Why weren't they working? Because there was a writer's strike. And this is a perfect opportunity to make a statement that you could do something of quality without having to spend tons of money, but at the same time be able to produce something that people would enjoy without having to use over-air stuff, which was a bit of a protest. That alone was pretty cool, and it showed in the production and the way they did the entire program or the stream. It was simple, but at the same time, it made for complex relationships, which we'll talk about on this round coming up. But I just continue to find it fascinating. I really enjoyed it the other night watching it. I think it was Wednesday night. Watched it again for the first time in, I don't know, several years. But I thought it was really good. I loved the whole demeanor about the thing. It just takes every TV trope, which is exactly what Anna said, taking TV tropes and amping it up into a new thing, using musicals. Why not? It was cool. I loved it. Another thing that was really interesting is if you had a chance to watch the DVD, the director's cut, the director's commentary was done with music. So there's music on top of music, which means you have to turn the sound down while he sings the song about how he made this show, which was fun in and of itself. What does that mean in the scheme of things? To me, if you're going to do a plot, if you're going to do a story, you're going to create a demeanor, you can go ahead and do something crazy. And particularly with the internet, which has frighteningly open borders when it comes to being able to do so many different things and do them in so many crazy ways, that you can be creative in wonderfully different directions. Experimental television's been around for a long time, but it's few and far between. This thing actually was able to do it on a relatively modest budget with quality actors, quality performances, quality production for a fraction of what it would normally cost. And that's happened, and that's part of what we've been talking about on Not Ready for Prime Time. You can have pretty good story and ideas and be able to do something really incredible along the way and create a whole new genre if you want to. I wish they would have continued this thing in another way, but everybody went back to work. These are all professionals. They need to go back and do the thing they needed to do to make money and pay the bills. But I thought it was fantastic, and Joe Sweeten did a wonderful job. Okay, that's my comments on plot. Let me go to, let's see, next up is N5HYP. Tom, I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but I saw you today, or not. What are your comments on characterization? Go ahead, Tom.
K5ICX and the net. This is N5HYP. Yes, you know I saw it. We talked about today. Characters. I mean, in a way, okay. A short story like this, characters don't get very deep. However, you know, you do see the morphing of Billy / Dr. Horrible's personality in once, and how he thinks he has to, what he thinks he has to do to get to where he wants. I did mention something to Anna just a moment ago. You know, I kind of felt in some ways like there was some the Pixar animated movie The Incredibles, the concept of having these superhero type characters kind of floating around in everyday life and being as ubiquitous as they were in Dr. Horrible here is kind of an interesting little trope. I think for what it was, for the story, for the length of the story, for the depth of the story, the character development was what you could expect. That's about all for now. This is N5HYP. I know my daughter has more.
Good. Thank you, Tom. This is KE5ICX. We're talking about Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. Next up, Anna, KG5TRH. Your comments on characterization.
This is KG5TRH. This is going to be my last comment because I have to head back to my apartment. So, characterization. Especially because it was a short story, there was a character arc for pretty much all of the characters. Even the news anchors, if you started reading the little captions that were going underneath. But also as a writer, it's just, I love whenever you can do character development in such a small amount of space. With Billy and just how he grew more confident, and in some ways not in the best way of being confident, and where that got him. And again, those last two words with Penny, as she was, you know, head over heels for this guy that she didn't really like, but then as she started actually listening to him and realizing that what she wanted wasn't what she thought she was getting, or what she actually got was not what she really wanted. And then with Captain Hammer, as you see at the end, that it was pretty much bravado. It wasn't actual strength, because when he finally did not win, he was not able to handle it. And then you've got Moist does nothing. Moist is just moist. I feel good. But you still get to see all of this growth and all of the events that are happening, and you don't sacrifice the character development for the plot, and the plot was not sacrificed for the character development, and it just all works together. So KG5, TRH.
Good, thank you, Anna. And you need to be on more of these nets. So you know what to do. But thanks. I appreciate your comments this evening. W5EVV. David, you have comments about characterization. Please go ahead.
I do about Dr. Horrible. You know, his character and Captain Hammer are basically examples of inversion. You know, you've got the characters who you think fundamentally have a nature which their actions are the opposite of, and you know, that's kind of an interesting twist. But I think that sort of the climax in terms of defining Mr. Horrible is when he freezes Captain Hammer, and he goes off into the crowd saying the following, which I think is the key to this movie. Yeah, you know, he says, "Look at these people, amazing how sheep will show up for the slaughter." I'm not singing this, obviously. "No one condemning you, lined up like lemmings, you're drawn to the water. Why can't they see what I see? Why can't they see your lies? You know, your disguise is slipping. I think you're slipping." And of course, before that, Captain Hammer has them all stimulated into a kumbaya moment of hand waving and he's like a televangelist basically, and the people in the audience are just drinking the Kool-Aid, and all at the same time, Captain Hammer is is denigrating them, and they're happy about it. So obviously, there's a lot of what should I think about this? Is Dr. Horrible a bad guy? Well, he's compassionate, but then maybe he's just trying to wake up the crowd to show them what they need to see. W5EBB.
Okay, let's see. KFI-TSK Burl, your comments on characterization. This is KE5ICX.
This is KFI-TSK. Well, I really wasn't that impressed with the, characters, because really there was Dr. Horrible and there was Captain Hammer. And, they were, really the whole picture. The thing that I kept going back in my head is, how much did they spend to make this? And, how many places or sets did they really have? Well, the washateria, well, that couldn't have been too expensive, and one outside scene, so, it was, the plot was, really Dr. Horrible or Captain Hammer, and, really they were both evil. And I guess I didn't really expect the end for, Dr. Hammer that, it's like it really destroyed his life. But I guess that's what you get for 42 minutes. KF5 TSK back to net.
All right, Burl, I've asterisked your name yet again because you always throw something out there that actually I'd like to comment on, but I gotta wait till the end. WV5OZL, Miss Brenda, your comments on characterization.
This is WV5OZL. Well, they were all just perfect types. Just fabulous actors and wonderful singers. It would be hard to assemble a cast like that. It would be hard to do. But, like you said, they were all available because they weren't working. It's kind of a cartoon. These are like cartoon characters. They were like extreme examples of human beings. But that's a very effective thing to do if that's where you're headed. I think I'll stop there. WV5OZL.
Oh, that was a short one. Okay, let's see here. Next, I got to find down the list here. KC5OZT, Miss Carolyn, what did you think of characterization?
To me, it seemed like it changed through the show. Starting out, you of course, not knowing anything about it to begin with, Dr. Horrible almost seemed like he was going to be the good guy. That was in the first few scenes, and of course Hammer, the complete villain, and as it morphed through the show, it changed, the Hammer, had it, he was helping out all, I can't remember now if it's a housing project or what, and all these people, had his emblem on their shirts, and you began to wonder just what it was going to happen, and then, of course, the way it ended up, was like the switch completely, and that was the impression, I got, KC50ZT.
All right, tragic. KG5BZW. Jay, your comments on characterization.
This is KG5BZW. Yeah, both Dr. Horrible and Hammer. Was it Captain Hammer? Yeah, I think a thing I like most about this show is just don't really know what to think of ever. Well, those two characters at the very least. Those two characters and the world that they inhabit. You get the feeling that, or I got the feeling that, well, is Dr. Horrible really, of course, as a lot of others have commented, Dr. Horrible really that horrible? And yes, he is in the ways that he is horrible at being horrible. But, it's like he's more for certain changes and not. It's not a fight of change versus not change. It's just that it's almost like he senses he's in a kind of a perverse world, and he needs to, I don't know, maybe not perverse is not the right term. Something's just off about the world, though, and maybe he can't correct it, but maybe something can be done, and that's really what motivates him, and that's kind of, it's just an interesting attack on things. I don't know, there's so many ways you can do that, and some ways you can just kind of fail and make a miserable person or miserable character. I think some movies I've seen where, they're amoral characters, and I just don't have any interest in them. But for whatever reason, I find interest in everybody here. Even just you have to wonder, how did Captain Hammer become Captain Hammer? What made him? What made this world so enamored with him to begin with, and why is he the nemesis? Well, other than the fact that he's been bullied per se, even though Dr. Horrible apparently was doing horrible things at the time, so it was necessary. I just kind of keep flipping around with these characters. But anyway, even though these characters are fairly, static, it's just the view of them just keeps on changing. And I guess even Penny's, you kind of have to, not so much that she really changed or your view on her changes, but you kind of, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm kind of going off the rails there. But anyway, that's I think my 2 cents. KG5 BGW.
Thank you, Jay, and I've got comments on that as well. Thanks very much. And this is KE5ICX. We're talking about Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog from 2008. Yes, this is the Afterglow Movie Net where we talk about crazy stuff. So just thought I'd mention that. I have a couple more people on the list, and then I'm going to go and take additional check-ins. So next up, KFI PDS, Miss Billy. We lost you for a minute. Hopefully you're still there. Your comments on Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. You have the seat. Go ahead.
Great. Sorry about that. I guess I fell asleep. I'm sorry. I only got about 4 hours of sleep last night. So if I missed my call earlier, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I've enjoyed everybody's comments. And I'm glad Anna has joined us. Yeah, she definitely needs to chime in more because I'm with her. I'm a total fan of this show. I remember watching it 10 years ago and just love it. So, yeah, it's like Dr. Horrible, yes, he is horrible at being horrible. It seems like he's a really nice guy trying awfully hard to be evil. But it seems like, towards the end he wants to expose the corruption of the world. It's like the Captain Hammer is in good with the mayor and is telling him exactly what he wants to hear and telling the people exactly what they want to hear. So everybody just loves Captain Hammer. And I love at the beginning, it looks like he is truly good, and Penny sees that. And Dr. Horrible, he's trying hard to be horrible, but towards the end, it looks like Captain Hammer's very vain, egotistical, just got everybody bamboozled into thinking, that he's just the greatest. And I'd like to see a sequel, like maybe see how Captain Hammer became Captain Hammer and how everybody became so enamored of him. But at the end, he starts showing his true colors, that he's really maybe just doing it for his own self-serving good and not necessarily making it look like it's for the good of the people, but it's really just to puff himself up. And Dr. Horrible wants to expose that, and by doing so is viewed to be evil. So to me, it kind of mirrors in life how people, that aren't very genuine will rise above the genuine folks, that people who are truly honest about their motivations and things will not succeed as well as those that pour honey into the ears of the public, that just that will say the right things and do the right things just to make you love them. And the people that are truly genuine about their own character will finish last, the kind of nice guys finish last philosophy. So I think this does a great job of showing that. In 42 minutes is incredibly good writing, and I love the music, just the interplay and all the characters when they're all singing at the same times. You have to watch it several times to hear everything that's going on, and I just think that was brilliantly done. And I'm with Anna. The last 2 words of the whole thing, it really just, the first time I saw it, it made me tear up. It just really hit me hard. It was very impactful the way that they did that. So the end is just like bam, it just really hits you. And I just love everything about this film. I guess the only thing I don't love is how short it is. I wish it were longer. But then if it were longer, it wouldn't be this encapsulated gem that it is. So I guess it's perfect the way it is. So I would love to see if they would do something more with it. But, again, I don't want them to beat it to death and make it formulaic or anything. So if nothing ever happens, then I'd be perfectly happy with it staying the way it is. But, yeah, I think it's just perfect. I love that everybody they got was perfectly cast, and the plot was not simple, but it was direct. But towards the end, I just love how it starts to kind of turn on itself. Just slowly you turn this rock over and you see it differently, or you turn that gem and you see it through a different facet, and it starts to look completely different. So again, Joss Whedon, this was just brilliant writing, and I love that he got his brothers involved, and they did a wonderful job. So hopefully that made up for me missing other rounds. So with that, I'll return it to you. This is KFI PDS, back to net.
And this is KE5ICX. No, you did great. You contributed a major part about this thing. We had this discussion, you and I, Billy, earlier, and I thought this was really cool, is that Joss Whedon has a really good job, really good capability of being able to, I'm getting a little tired too, it's been a long day, so forgive me if I don't get the words right, but he does an exceptional job about being able to take characters and bring them out very quickly and make them really real. There are people that you can definitely relate to, both the protagonist, antagonist, and that's, I think, what his real gem is what he's able to do with stories. He creates nice stories, interesting stories, fun stories. We know about Firefly. We talked about it. And this one is another example of it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was another. And Dollhouse was another. He's just able to really shorthand all of this and place his characters first and foremost. That's in front of the audience. And he's exceptionally good at that. I think that even though it's only, 42 minutes long, maybe an episode of some TV show today, it typically takes a long time to develop characters on television. And in movies, you've got 2 hours or less in order to do that, and if you don't, then you're not doing a very good job with your movie. You have to develop characters, although they are sometimes superficial. These characters aren't quite so superficial as was mentioned earlier. Anna acknowledged, and I agree, is that the character is a little more complex than that. You've got Dr. Horrible. You know, he's the guy, he's reaching out, he wants people to love him. And he has a blog, and that's where he talks. And he even talks about, there are kids in that park. Don't be a jerk, that sort of thing. So he's got kind of a heart. He goes and he does this. He goes to the wash arena and he does his clothes on laundry day, and he falls in love with Penny. He's a real live human being. He cares. No, he's super evil. And I think he just wants attention. He wants somebody to acknowledge him. Penny does in a completely different way. He falls in love with her. And in the process, he becomes a sympathetic character. What really sets him over the edge in the end, he wants recognition. Bad horse, bad horse. That is the evil league of evil, and we wonder how he got there, which is something that Billy mentioned. He's a complex character with an unknown past. On the other hand, Captain Hammer is two-dimensional, one-dimensional. We've dealt with this guy. He's the guy we work with. Hey, look, I'm wonderful. I'm great. And then he usually gets the adoration of the management. I know somebody like this. Probably is making millions right now, but he was... Okay, I'm going to use the word suck up, and that's Captain Hammer, and it drives you nuts because you don't want to fake and ruin yourselves in the end. Dr. Horrible represents and tries to be what he thinks he should be. And you got Captain Hammer, who's off grandstanding all the time, and you go, geez, I don't want to be that guy. I'll stop there. There's too many metaphors and too many parallels that go along with that in today's times, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the heck out of it. Oh, there was a comment about, let's see here, I'm trying to read my notes. I tell you what, I'll hold it because this has to do with the production part of it. So we're getting up towards, 12 o'clock. So what I'll do now, I'll take additional check-ins and then I'll take any final comments. So additional check-ins, if you're out there, please come down with your call sign. Okay, this is open round. If you have any comments of anything that you would like to talk about, please come down with your call sign, and I will put you in that list, and we'll take it in that order. Anybody have any, probably final comments? If you want to say anything, please come down with your call sign.
Hello, 5. We have Delta Whiskey, John and Conto. 5 EBB.
Okay, I've got two. I got K5 JDW John and W5 EBB David. John, go ahead. You're first.
The net, thanks. And basically, I'm not a movie watcher, but I do listen to this net. I'm trying to support the net, and also I like to listen in because, as I've told you in the past, I guess it substitutes as a kind of DARC's version of Siskel and Ebert. I have actually watched shows or movies that y'all have critiqued. You drum up an interest, and this will be one of them. But I was trying to think of what the other thing I was going to say was, earlier you were talking about, I think Ann mentioned it, and you mentioned the word trope. You're going to have to explain that to a left-brain guy. K5 JDW.
John, I'd be happy to do so. Well, what a trope is what it means is it's a common plot type example for a thing that happens in a movie or a television show. As an example, and I'll make this short, but I love TV tropes. And what they have to do with is, for example, you have some sort of story that you have to conclude in 44 minutes. And let's say that you're a detective and you have to figure out who the perpetrator was, who killed the person, and all of that. Well, a TV trope would be an example where you've got a million suspects and you have to get it down to one suspect. So in a TV trope, you go and you look at the evidence and you say, this person was in a garden, and you can tell under their fingernails that there's a certain herb here that can only be found in China, which means there was a flight that came in from China, and it was a person who was a gardener, and that person had to be involved in the murder. So you take millions of people and you drop it down to one person because you can take and cross-reference it. That's a trope. That's an example of a trope where you need to shorthand everything to make it happen. And in other stories, you have to have let me reset. In science fiction, the guy in the skull cap, he's evil. The guy in the white, the jujitsu thing, like not Han Solo, the other one, the kid. He's the good guy. Everybody in black is bad guy. That's a trope. That's what that is. So I love that stuff because it's so silly. All right, so let me go to W5EBB. We can have a discussion afterwards, but David, your comments.
Well, first, I think another example of a movie trope is just like an action scene that you see repeatedly in different movies. And I actually meant to bring this up when we reviewed Star Trek Continues, fairest of all, when Spock and Captain Kirk are battling, and I think it was that scene. Anyway, whenever your gun runs out of juice, bullets, or phaser power, you squeeze the button and nothing happens, you throw the gun away. You throw it at a long distance. You don't just drop it. You throw it. That's kind of a movie trope, I think, in terms of like an action. Okay, so as for my comment, so Dr. Horrible is kind of torn. He can either have a girlfriend or he can be a nasty worldwide supervillain. You can either be loving and compassionate, or you can be an agent of widespread destruction. You can't be both, not at the same time, at least. It's up to you. And I thought about that, and I sort of made the derisive comment about Andrew Lloyd Webber, but I was looking up, Dr. Horrible kind of seems like the Phantom from Phantom of the Opera, and I looked up a few quotes from that, and I'm not sure if they apply to Captain Hammer or Dr. Horrible, again, because there's that duality.
W5FC.
Some quotes by the Phantom. Wandering child, so lost, so helpless, yearning for my guidance. Too long you've wandered in winter far from my fathering gaze. And then at the climax of Phantom of the Opera, you try my patience. Make your choice. Anyway, that was my dramatic moment. Anyway, great choice for a movie. I enjoyed it. W5EBB.
Thanks very much, David. What a dramatic ending. I love it. Okay, anybody have any additional final comments or additional check-ins? We're closing it out now. Okay, hearing none. Here's what I'll tell you. Next week's movie is Battle of the Worlds from 1961. Looks interesting. The following film after that is Dimension 5 from 1966 with Captain Pike. Yeah, I didn't even know this guy was in a science fiction film before Star Trek. But in any case, Battle of the Worlds, 1961. If you would like to find out what the next movies are, or even give your suggestions, we'll find them. Try and make sure we give films that are available online, public domain, or otherwise available through commercial means for free. You can go ahead and go to facebook.com. Afterglow Movie, 2 words, Afterglow, and movies, say you would like to sign up, and there's a list there. Or if you're not a Facebook-type person, you can go ahead and send me an email at KE5ICX, Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-ray at yahoo.com, and say, I'd like to be a part of this, the Afterglow movie, and I will put you on the list, and you will get the movie links and movie info there. So either way will work. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight, everybody. It was a lot of fun. I know there's a lot of folks over doing the winter hang on. Winter Field Day. I had to think about it. I had a brain lock there. It is midnight after all. So I'll say 7-3 to everybody. Have a great evening, and if you're still contesting, may the best contester contestingly win. So, 7-3, everybody. Good night. See you next week.